favor and just turn off the bulb until we need? No, just press the
power?
Yeah, the power button. Just turn it on. Hit it again. Great, thank you. I always just want to conserve the bulb power because they're so expensive to replace. Just I do this at work too all the time, so I use overhead. Anyway, so that's one. 2, Immaculate Heart Radio has been talking about the National Pilgrim Virgin Statue of Our Lady of Fatima, which will be at, let me see if I can read this, St. Anthony Parish in Upland this Friday, all day, from 8:30 to 7 o'clock. And there's a whole schedule here if you'd like to go. If you can make it, it's certainly a blessing. I don't know if this one in particular that's going to be there, but the National Pilgrim Virgin statues that were blessed by Pope Pius XII have been known to weep. They've been recorded as weeping. There's photographs of the statues weeping. I don't know if this one in particular has had that miraculous connection to it, but these are these particular statues blessed by Pius XII that travel throughout the country have been known to weep. And there's photographs of them and stuff like that. So, there, just a little thought there.
Is it coming to us?
No, it's just in Upland. I don't know if it is coming, but this is what I guess it's the closest nearby so far. Also, as I mentioned in my email, I'm taking a little sabbatical from my master's. I've been going straight through for 1.5 years now. I did get a 95 on my exam and on my paper. It was on prophets. It was a very fascinating research. It was something I've always wanted to do, and I told my professor this could have easily turned into a thesis or a dissertation. What I researched in Daniel was the ancient Jewish understanding of Daniel 9, and how did the ancient Jews before Jesus' day interpret and understand what Daniel was meaning. And then I brought it into the early church fathers and how they connected with that. Very fascinating research. I had gotten lots of resources about the Dead Sea Scrolls and what they had to say about Daniel. Very fascinating. I could have read that forever. It was really intriguing to see how the ancient Jews understood it. If I could give you a few little tidbits, one of the things that I found is that the Jews understood it to be literal years. That was one of the things that was common. They didn't understand it symbolically. They understood it as being literal. And this is carried over into the fathers. The fathers understood it literally. So there's a continuity of understanding that what Daniel prophesied about the 70 weeks, they understood it to be 70 years of 70 periods of 7 years. Now, where they differ is understanding it, what the anointed one meant. Some believed it referred to the temple. From the second temple to its destruction. They believed it was a prediction about that. When the anointed one would be cut off, they believed that was the temple. I never heard of that before. Some, especially in the Dead Sea community, believed it had to do with an anointed one, a Christ figure. But they also believed there were multiple Christ figures, one as a king, one as a prophet. That was intriguing. I'd never heard that before. So there was just so much there that I could have dug out. And then, of course, the early fathers all attempted to understood the 70 weeks as being from the time of the rebuilding of the temple under Ezra and Nehemiah until Jesus is coming. and just figuring out when those periods were to fit in the 483 years. So that's what they attempted to do. And this goes all the way back to the 2nd century. And of course, I quoted my favorite church father, St. Irenaeus. And he didn't directly interpret the 70 weeks, but what he did do is show that he believed them to be literal years. So I use that as one of the earliest references that there was about understanding that the 77s were literal periods of time. And that this was very early in the church's understanding, which predates it into Judaism. So that there's a continuity of, am I making sense here? It's like the church just didn't invent this idea. It's like it was there in nascent form in Judaism, and it was revealed better with the advent of Christ. I think that that's the major pull away from that. So extraordinary understandings, particularly one document in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It was called 11Q Melchizedek. And it was all about Melchizedek coming back after the 490 years after the building of the temple. I mean, it was just extraordinary. I just enjoyed it. So my professor must have too. He gave me a high grade. So with that, I would like to make a little plug about John Paul the Great Catholic University. This is a brochure I got at the conference that I was at. The one on the Book of Acts. And so I picked up a brochure, if any of you young adults would like to, or young at heart adults like myself like to take on the Masters. You certainly can. If that seems too daunting a task, they also have something called a certificate, a catechetical certificate, which in essence gives you the same kind of background, but a little bit lighter. It's designed for those who want to be like catechists in churches, or CCD teachers, or things like that. So that's another track that you can take. Just a little thought like that. So I'll pass this around. There isn't a flyer yet, but one of the things that I've noted, as you know, it is going to be the 100th anniversary of Our Lady's appearance in May. That'll be her first visit to Fatima, and October will end her last appearance.
And the two children will be canonized on May 17th.
Yes, our Pope Francis will be canonizing Jacinta and Francisco, the first children in church history to be canonized saints who were not martyrs. Children have been canonized as saints, but they were always martyrs. These are the first children in church history to be canonized and were not martyred for the faith. So it's an extraordinary thing to happen. Also, as you know, in October of this year, not only is the ending of Our Lady's visit on Earth 100 years ago, but it's the 500th anniversary of the Protestant Reformation. Now, with that, Catholic Answers is sponsoring a weekend conference entitled The Call of Christian Unity, where they're going to address many of the causes of the Reformation. Several speakers. I believe it's in September. I would have printed out a flyer, but they don't even have a flyer yet. But you can go to Catholic Answers and look up the conference. I would it's going to be in San Diego.
Oh.
So it's local-ish, you know what I mean? Friday evening, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday conference. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the conference cost is $40. I believe. You could double check that online. Are you checking that online? Trent Horn, Jimmy Akins, Tim Staples, power players that you hear on Immaculate Heart Radio, on Catholic Answers Live are going to be there. I would that would be the best way to celebrate, if you want to put it that way, the Reformation. is getting a good Catholic understanding of what happened and how we can bring our separated brothers and sisters back to the fullness of the faith. So I'm going to start promoting that now, so you can make plans for it now, for when it comes, so that maybe we can all be there. Like I said, I would bring a flyer, but they don't have a flyer yet. If someone can find one that I didn't, let me know, and we'll start printing those out now. But make plans.
28th, 29th, and 30th.
October 19 to 21 in beautiful San Diego, California.
Wow, full conference is 195.
Oh, is it?
Correct.
Oh, so I was wrong.
Partial conference is 95.
Okay.
If you just want to go to the top, but if you want to go like reception, banquet, all of
Oh, no. I just want to go to the conference.
If you
Forget
just
the
want to go for
banquet.
the talks, it's 95.
Oh, okay. That's still a good deal for a 3-day
For 3
conference.
days.
What was the dates again?
29, sorry. I think it was 28, 29, 30. Whatever,
It says
it starts
October-
Thursday night.
What is
September?
it? October 19 to 21. What
Let me
is
see.
that?
No, it's something different.
No. That's a Reformation conference.
Oh,
No, that's not it.
so which one do we?
It's on Catholic.com.
28, 29, and 30.
28, 29, 30.
September or October?
September.
Oh, September.
September?
So a whole month before the Reformation happens. I'm sure Time Life as well as National Geographic will be doing some special deal on it, like they did for the anniversary of the King James Bible and so forth. For me, what I would like to do in October, I'll just kind of give you my thoughts. I'd like to show a movie on Martin Luther's life. Just so that you get an idea of who this character was. He was a very tormented soul. Very tormented soul. And he had no intention of founding a new denomination. That kind of happened because of his obstinacy to retract his beliefs. But he was a man in search of peace. And unfortunately, he split the church to pieces as a result. But, just to get some idea of that. It's obviously a very important element or event in the life of the church. Good, bad, or indifferent, we're still feeling the effects of it today. So it does us a worthwhile to know how it started, why it started, and what we can do to correct it. And also I would want to add the great church council that came out of that, the Council of Trent. The largest, most extensive church council ever in church history. It lasted 20 years from start to finish. It completely reformed the church in ways that are still being effected to this day. It touched on every element of the faith. Every element of the faith was addressed at the Council of Trent. Sacraments, all of them. Faith and works. The belief in heaven, hell, purgatory. The role of the papacy, the saints, indulgences. Everything was addressed at the Council of Trent. I mean, that's how far-reaching it was. It was an extraordinary council. None like it in church history. None like it. It's before or after. It reformed the Mass. You talk about Vatican II changing the Mass. The Council of Trent did more to change the Mass than Vatican II ever did. It created the seminary system that we have today, that both Catholics and Protestants emulate. I mean, you just really don't understand the effects of the Council of Trent. I mean, this was a major change, a shift in the church that occurred. I mean, it's really incredible when you think about it. All right? So, all of that. What is tonight? Tonight, we get the last message to the last church, the church in Laodicea. And then the rest of the evening, I really want to spend some time on the meaning of the blessings. Now, that was the homework assignment. Before I go into that, I want to hear how you delved into that before we get to the message of the churches. What did you think when you look at all of the blessings of the churches? And what do I mean by that? I mean, all of the phrases after to him who overcomes, I will tree of life, which is the paradise of God. To him who overcomes shall not be hurt by the second death. To him who overcomes, I will give some of the hidden manna. I will give him a white stone. To him who overcomes and keeps my words, I will give him power over the nations, etc. What does all of that point to? What did you glean from that?
Would I start
Mhm.
emphasis, like emphasis that I will give the right to eat from the tree of life that is in the garden of God.
Yes.
And as we all know that through this, if we go back to the Genesis chapter 3, you see that Adam that was cursed that from the Garden of Eden because he violated, he did not obey God.
Right, he broke the covenant.
Yeah. So through this, I will give the right to eat the tree of life. That means that it through Christ, the decrease excluding humanity from the tree of life had been revoked.
Yes.
By
Yes.
Christ.
That's a good point.
Right. And also that in Revelation 22:2,
Yes.
chapter 22, verse 2, down the middle of the great street of the city, on each side of the river, stood the tree of life, bearing 12 crops of fruit, yielding its fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nation.
Yes.
No longer will there be any curse.
Yes.
And also here, continue on the 22 verse 14. Blessed are those who wash their robes, that they may have the right to the tree of life.
Yes.
And may go through the gate into the city.
Yes.
And also on the 19, verse 22 also, chapter 22, verse 19. And if anyone take words away from this book of prophecy, God will take away from him his share in the tree of life and in the holy city without Christ in this book. So we see that from this book it talk about the future.
Yes.
See,
There is
the
an element of
letter
future.
addressed to the church Ephesus.
Yes.